Put that phone down.
Hello, security. Merry Christmas.
Eddie Murphy with Dan Aykroyd together. It's comedy gold.
Is there a problem, officers?
Welcome, y'all. Taylor James Johnson here, and I'm absolutely loving the 80s because the 80s was a hilarious decade full of hilarious people, and two of those hilarious people were Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. Jamie Lee Curtis is in this one too. Trading Places, directed by John Landis. It's the classic Prince and Pauper tale, but you know, in the 80s in New York. It makes statements about capitalism and class warfare and you know, the holiday spirit and race in a very 80s way. So yeah, let's check this one out again. Trading Places. Merry Christmas. It's a Christmas movie, right?
Flashback to 1982. Now, this was an important year in the lives of all of the main players involved with Trading Places. For star Dan Aykroyd, it was marked with tragedy, with his best friend and frequent on-screen partner John Belushi dying of a drug overdose early in the year. Likewise, director John Landis was involved in a major tragedy while directing Twilight Zone the movie. While staging a scene involving a helicopter, star Vic Morrow and two child actors were decapitated in a scandalous incident we explored in great detail in our episode of What the Happened to This Movie on Twilight Zone the movie. It would result in years of legal action, with Landis' reputation taking a serious beating when it was revealed that the two child actors were hired illegally and should have never been on set. It would take some time, but eventually the incident would leave Landis' career and legacy in tatters. 40 years later, it still casts a large shadow over him, but curiously, in its immediate aftermath, he would have two of his biggest successes ever: the music video for Michael Jackson's Thriller, and of course, Trading Places.
You know what a fire escape is, boys and girls?
By contrast, 1982 was an amazing year for Eddie Murphy. He was a core member of the second generation of Saturday Night Live stars, and while they were mostly reviled by fans and critics, Murphy was considered a diamond in the rough, and people would watch the show every week just to see how brilliant he was.
Who the hell is talking on my set?
It's your wife, Mr. Gumby.
I told you to keep that cow off the set. Where to go?
Hollywood came a-calling when he was cast opposite Nick Nolte in the cop action comedy 48 Hours as a smart-mouthed con named Reggie Hammond. Nick Nolte and director Walter Hill no doubt sensed Murphy was a force to be reckoned with, and they let him dominate the movie, with him having all of the best scenes.
What's happening, Luther? I'm sorry about the door, man. Did that hurt? It looked real painful when you slammed into it.
By the time Murphy as Reggie walks into a cowboy bar, which seems an odd fit for downtown San Francisco.
What's your problem? Yeah, I'm on parole. That's why you running away? Yeah. Put your country ass down.
And starts bossing folks around, a star had been born, with the movie making over $78 million at the box office, ranking 7th place for the year. Murphy was so hot that when Nick Nolte had to bail on hosting SNL, they simply elevated Murphy to host status, with him holding a record as the only person to ever host an episode of the show while still a cast member. Meanwhile, Jamie Lee Curtis was at an important crossroads in her career. For the first time, a Halloween movie had been made without her, Halloween Season of the Witch. She seemed eager to move on from the Scream Queen status which had begun to define her, with movies like Terror Train, Prom Night, and Road Games all playing to diminishing returns. She received some serious critical acclaim for playing murdered playmate Dorothy Stratton in the TV film Death of a Centerfold, but her big screen career was dead in the water.
I'm gonna regret this, but come on.
So when Trading Places went into production in the 1982 Christmas season, it was not a sure thing, although all involved had to be thrilled when 48 Hours opened only days before filming began to boffo box office. The fact is, none of the cast members were the original choices, with Trading Places intended as a star vehicle for Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. They were red hot coming off of Stir Crazy, but neither were available.
So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
So the film, which was originally titled Black and White and was written by Timothy Harris and Herschel Weingrod, ended up in the hands of Landis, who said the premise reminded him of classic 1930s screwball comedies.
I can see! I can see! I have legs! I have oh shit! Look at this! Man! I can walk! Jesus! Praise Jesus!
Pryor would likely have still been offered the role, but he almost killed himself in an infamous freebase cocaine incident, leaving him unable to work for months as he recovered. Paramount Pictures had begun testing 48 Hours by this point and knew that Murphy was lightning in a bottle, so he was floated as a replacement for Pryor, which Landis went along with, but he wanted Dan Aykroyd to co-star.
For
bellies. I knew it. I knew it.
While the two had made the Blues Brothers together and it was a significant hit, the studio assumed that Aykroyd's career would crash and burn, as he was considered the straight man to John Belushi, and not much more.
Aw, show business sucks. I'm out of here.
Indeed, his first film as a solo star, Dr. Detroit, would bomb just a few months before Trading Places came out, and it was only after taking a big pay cut that Aykroyd got the role.
Coleman, I've had the most absurd nightmare. I was poor and no one liked me.
Jamie Lee Curtis would take the biggest pay cut of all, as the studio balked at casting a Scream Queen as the leading lady.
Got enough problems, Louie.
Luckily, she had a keen supporter in John Landis, but in the end, she'd only earn a mere $70,000 for the role she would have to get naked in, which is ludicrous, but would pay off in the end.
Yeah? Well, I don't take credit cards.
The rest of the cast would be filled out by an intriguing mix of character actors. The de facto fourth lead in the film is the Aykroyd character's butler, who wound up being played by the late Denholm Elliott.
Coleman, just unchain the door and let me in. I'm in no mood for jokes.
Coleman. There's no Coleman here. You've made a mistake.
A well-respected British thespian, he was brilliantly cast in the wake of having played Marcus Brody in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, rubbish. Ravenwood's no Nazi.
Well, what did the Nazis want him for, then?
Well, obviously, the Nazis are looking for the headpiece to the staff of Ra, and they think Abner's got it.
His character, Coleman, would be the movie's conscience.
There's some strange shit going on here, Coleman.
You don't want to be late for your first day at work, sir.
In the film, Aykroyd's Mortimer Winthorpe III is a wealthy commodities broker who finds himself the target of a cruel joke by his benefactors, the villainous Duke brothers. They believe that they can elevate anyone off the street to Winthorpe's position, while simultaneously destroying the man himself in an instant. Overnight, Winthorpe becomes a criminal, only saved by the classic hooker with a heart of gold, Curtis's Ophelia, while Eddie Murphy's Billy Ray Valentine, a homeless con man, gets Winthorpe's prestige and money.
I can play like Harlem Globetrotter shit with it in, right? Okay, you want Mellow Lemon shit, right? Hey man, I'm sorry about that.
Elliott's Coleman knows how cruel the joke is and starts to bristle when he gets to like Murphy's essentially kind Billy Ray. And when Murphy's character gets wind of what's happening, well, he's not gonna go down easy. And Coleman ends up playing an important role in the scheme that Murphy and Aykroyd's character come up with to get even with the Dukes.
It is against my religion.
I always say religion is a fine thing. Take it in moderation.
Beef jerky?
Oh, no, son, thank you very much. No, it gives me the wind, something terrible.
Oh.
Now, the evil Duke brothers are perhaps the most inspired bit of casting. Landis maintained that the film was inspired by 1930s screwball comedies, albeit with a lot of swearing and a lot of nudity. So to play the villains, they got two legit screwball comedy legends to star. One of them was Ralph Bellamy, who always played a character dubbed the Baxter in the famous Michael Showalter movie. You know, the Baxter. The Baxter is the guy who, didn't get the girl.
Okay, you got it? All right, we're gonna move ahead. Sorry to slow you down.
He played this role over and over again, especially in the screwball comedy classic The Awful Truth.
Say, that's a good one.
He went on to have a very long career in front of the camera, and in fact, the same year he starred in Trading Places, he was nominated for an Emmy for playing FDR in The Winds of War. The other Duke brother was more of a find, with Don Ameche, a former contract star at Fox, who was a leading man for Ernst Lubitsch in Heaven Can Wait. He had quit acting and was living modestly but comfortably. He had to be coaxed back into acting and apparently was very uncomfortable with some of the dialogue, with his character having to use the N-word at one point, and he says in the climax, both of which Ameche kind of found unacceptable and would only do one take of each. Despite his reservations, the role led to a monster comeback for Ameche, who would win an Oscar 2 years later for Cocoon and would work steadily up to his death. Ironically, in his old age, he was arguably a bigger star than he had ever been as a young man, and this was the film he owed it to.
Now you listen to me. I want trading reopened right now. Get those brokers back in here. Turn those machines back on. Turn those machines back on.
Landis also filled the movie with younger, more contemporary comics, including Paul Gleason as the bad guy Clarence Weeks. You definitely know him from The Breakfast Club. And his character was actually based on Watergate fixer G. Gordon Liddy, who was actually approached for the role, but turned it down when he found out that his character would, as Wikipedia so tenderly puts it, wind up as the romantic partner of a gorilla. Literally, a gorilla.
Show me the monkey! Check that monkey!
Also, keep your eyes peeled for a young John Belushi, Al Franken plus Tom Davis.
So Sometimes it looks so human it gives you the creeps.
Landis also made an inspired choice for the soundtrack, hiring Elmer Bernstein, long regarded as one of the best dramatic composers in Hollywood, famous for his work on The Magnificent Seven, to score. Bernstein was a hot commodity at the time as far as scoring comedies went, with him famously doing the soundtrack to Ghostbusters next year. He had already had a lot of success scoring Animal House and, of course, Stripes. The movie, as it turns out, was a smash beyond the studio Paramount Pictures' expectations. Ranking 4th for the year, it proved 48 Hours was no fluke and solidified Eddie Murphy as the hottest comedy star of the 80s. The next year, he would make Beverly Hills Cop. Dan Aykroyd also proved with this movie that he could carry a film on his own and went on to do Ghostbusters next.
It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
So in essence, the two stars in the movies had the two top-grossing movies of 1984 between them the very next year. Sadly, this would be their only on-screen team-up. Murphy would, however, reunite with John Landis for 2 more movies. The first reunion, Coming to America, would become one of Eddie Murphy's biggest hits.
Good morning, my neighbors! Hey, you! Yes! Yes! You too!
And even feature a cameo by Ralph Bellamy and Don Ameche reprising their roles as the Duke brothers. The two, of course, have been left homeless by the events of Trading Places and are ruined, but they get left a big bag of cash by Prince Akeem.
Mortimer, we're back.
The next collaboration, however, Beverly Hills Cop 3, well, if you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say anything at all, right?
For when you're shining on Tennessee.
By contrast, Jamie Lee Curtis would be elevated to sex symbol status thanks to her role here, but it would take until 1988's A Fish Called Wanda before she would finally get kudos as a comedian in her own right.
Mozzarella.
No, not here.
Parmigiana. Gorgonzola.
When Aykroyd and Murphy's careers would kind of falter a bit in the 90s.
Come on, you ain't gotta protect me from Cletus. Come on, Cletus. Come on. Come over here. Come on in. Let's show walk. Come over.
Unacceptable. Not only have you delayed my departure from here, but the entire series of events which was to follow. What reason could you have for such deception?
Curtis would become bigger than ever, first by teaming again with Aykroyd for My Girl and the sequel, My Girl 2.
Never heard of him.
And then by teaming up with Arnold Schwarzenegger on True Lies. Sadly, Denholm Elliott would die of AIDS in 1992, but not before delivering another solid comedic performance in the underrated Peter Bogdanovich movie, Noises Off. Indeed, Trading Places would remain a highlight in the careers of all involved.
Hey, how'd you make out today?
Even if it has met with a little controversy over some aspects of the film.
Lionel! From the African Education Conference, right?
Yes, Simon. I was director of cultural events at the Haile Selassie Pavilion.
I remember the pavilion. We had big fun there.
It remains hilarious, and it's worth noting that Murphy's always looked back at it fondly, calling it the best time he ever had making a movie.
Looking good, Billy Ray.
Feeling good, Louis.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. Joe Blow was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.